Our next speaker, Tom Barr, is the Deputy Director of Public Works for the town of Chatham, a position that he has held for almost 2 years. Prior to joining the DPW, Tom spent 13 years as the project manager and chief water operator for Weston and Sampson, the company that ran Chatham's water and sewer operations. So Tom is here today to talk to us about PFAS issues in Chatham, including how the PFAS were detected in the drinking water, options considered to remediate the problem, and of course, the action being taken. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for having me. So as Susan mentioned, I'm with the town of Chatham. I've been in the water and sewer industry for about 20 or so years. So done a lot of work with Chatham specifically. And so as our previous speaker talked, PFAS, a big topic right now in drinking water. Massachusetts DEP put in, so that's Massachusetts, the DEP regulates 6 specific PFASs. We call it the PFAS 6. Back in 2020, they mandated that all public water supplies do their sampling. So Chatham, our sample schedule came out and we did our first samplings in April of 2021 at the new 20 parts per trillion. We had detections in 2 of our wells, wells 5 and well 8, which are located at the training field well site, just a little bit nearby the airport, as previously mentioned. So with that, the well 5 was higher than the state limit of the 20 parts per trillion. I think our first sample came in around like 24 parts per trillion. So it's not that high as compared to Hyannis's, which we saw were extremely high. So we were very fortunate that the other well 8 was much lower, so we were able to continue to use that water to feed our population. And so well 5 came offline. Immediately we started working on trying to find a way to get some treatment in there so that we get that well back online. So in fall of 2021, well 8 went higher than the 20 parts per trillion, so we had to shut that well off. So we lost 2 wells. That's about each well about 500 gallons per minute. So we lost about 1,000 gallons per minute a day that we were pumping for our water supply. So it was a big hit for us. Chatham currently we have 11 drinking water wells in town. So losing 2 of them for our summertime population was drastic. So we had a lot of water restrictions, and we put in some bans for irrigation and whatnot to try to help mediate some of the usage with the loss of those 2 wells. So summer of 2022, we got a temporary vessel, as you can see in the picture here, put online. Granulated activated carbon was the treatment that we're using. So this vessel came online in the summer. Well 5 was brought back online, so we were able to use well 5, so we got another 500 gallons per minute well to use. Well 8 remains offline and is going to stay offline until we have our new treatment plant, which is being built. So treatment, like I said, is being accomplished by filtering through the water, through the carbon vessel. It says removes PFAS, but it doesn't remove it. It holds it onto the carbon, and then we'll take it out. We'll regenerate it or incinerate it, depending on. But that vessel there has 4 different sample ports on it, and the state requires that we sample that vessel every month. And so we sample, the first sample is taken at the top, and if that's clean, then we can continue to use the vessel. And if that one gets contaminated, then we move to the next level and the next level. And once we get to the bottom level and it's higher than what we need, then that's when we have to regenerate that carbon. So we've been very fortunate since 2022. We've only been having a sample out of that first port, so it's doing a really good job. This vessel has been moved from that site. We shut it off every winter. We only use that during the summertime because it's outdoors, so we have to shut it down in the winter and winterize it. But this vessel was moved just 2 weeks ago to the new treatment plant that's being built. So this is a picture of our iron manganese treatment plant, similar to what our PFAS treatment plant is going to look like. We try to keep all of our treatment plants looking the same, so it's, not a lot of questions. The public knows what they are. And So each one comes with large removable panels, as you can see, so that we can remove the treatment vessels out of there or get in there to take the carbon out of the vessels when they're past their life. This is the floor plan of our current treatment plant that's being built right now. So you'll see that you have the four big vessels on the side here. Those are the PFAS vessels. Then we have our 4 vessels in the middle there. Those are green sand filtration for the iron and manganese. And then the right side has just the mechanicals, you know, the electrical small lab that we'll be doing some sampling in. Obviously, we're not going to be sampling for PFAS in that lab because that is a very strenuous test. So we do a lot of iron and manganese sampling, pH, chlorine, all that kind of stuff. So that's the floor plan of that. But Chatham, so as far as the PFAS in Chatham, what we have here, Chatham, like most Cape Cod, is a very seasonal community with high water usage. You can see in the diagram here, this is the annual pumping. This was 2023. So every month, so we're about, 2 million there during the slow months. And then you can see we pump up to almost 900 million in the summertime. So, 9 million, sorry, not 900 million. So about 9 million in the summer. So there's a huge drop of water in the summertime for us. And by having these wells offline, it really hurt. So we had to get that temporary on, and we're rushing to get the new treatment plant put online. We're hoping to have that online by, I'm hoping, spring of next year. That should be up and running and ready to go. So, but the uncertainty of where and when the next PFAS detections are going to come, as the previous speaker talked, it's a problem that we're going to be dealing with for centuries. So towns have to start budgeting. They have to start getting ahead of it. Chatham is very fortunate that we've been able to get ahead of it a little bit here. It's been quick. It's been active. Hyannis is doing a fantastic job. They're well ahead of the curve on everything. Hopefully it won't be affecting towns like Brewster very soon, and you guys will be in good shape. But a lot of budgeting and designs need to be done now before we get to it. And here's some temporary PFAS. You saw the big white vessel that we have, but you can see here that they have them on trailers. They'll bring them in. You can hook up, runs through the vessels there. And then this one here was one taken down. That's, where's that? That one is, I want to say, Marston's Mills area, one of the treatment plants down there. They have 3 smaller little vessels there, and that's another seasonal well that they have for their summertime usage, so they'll turn that on. So there's different types of treatment. There's granulated activated carbon, which we're using, and there's resin, there's ozone. So there's a bunch of different treatments that they use. We did a study early on in 21 to see what would be best for ours, and we decided that it was going to be the granulated activated carbon. So that's really what we got there. I'll take any questions. Mine was much quicker than his because he told you all about the bad stuff. I'm just telling you how we're treating it. Go ahead.
Would you describe what it means to regenerate your carbon?
Yeah, so what we do is somebody comes and takes it and brings it away. I don't know that. I open the door, let them in, they pump it out.
And it goes back to
No, so it'll go off-site. It goes to a special facility. Special facility takes it. It's not something that we would do in-house by any means. So the whole vessel gets pumped out, all the carbon gets removed, brought to a different facility. They do their process there, and then we'll get new carbon in the meantime, and then we'll bring that stuff back.
So it sounds like unless it's put into a furnace with this incredibly high temperature, it's basically it would get recycled. There's just no way to get rid of
to remove the PFAS. Yeah, just the incineration is the only way to really eliminate it.
So regeneration needs to be incineration, or else it's not really...
It's not killing the PFAS, it's just pulling it off of... I don't know if Tom can answer that, if he knows anything more about the regeneration process, or... Yeah, it's not something I've really...
It's just like a water softener, right? You got a media in your water
Yeah,
and you regenerate it with salt and a water softener. It pulls the
pulls
the material out of the resin, and then the resin's good to use again.
Yeah, just
Right,
like
but
a rinse.
when you pull it out, it
Contaminant
goes
is
back into
concentrated,
the
right? Then you gotta get rid of the
Yeah, so you
contaminant.
pull it off, it's like a rinse more or less, so I mean, they're pulling it, putting it somewhere else to get rid of, but then they're giving us back the carbon to reuse.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it sounded like you shut the wells down when they got above 20?
Yeah, so that's the Massachusetts MCL, the maximum
And
contaminant level.
when it goes through your activated charcoal and comes out to be used, what is the PFAS?
So it is, we're, the well 5 right now, the last samples we took in October when we shut it down, it was non-detect, which means, I won't say 0, but it's non-detect.
I would just recommend, Tom mentioned that movie, Dark Waters.
Yeah,
That tells, it really tells in a very user-friendly way the story of PFAS.
yeah,
Dark
great
Waters.
movie. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So what have you found in your investigation as to where it came from?
So, we were gonna start a study on that, and it kinda got put on the back burner at the time because we were more or less worried about just getting those wells back online. There is a little bit of talk that it came from the airport, which was right there, because they were doing some firefighting training there at the airport at one point. We haven't proved that out yet. We're going to be putting a study together within the next year or two and having a consultant come in and try to do some work for us on that.
So other than that, no specific identified source?
No specific identified source. Yep. Yes, sir.
Just what I was able to discern from public media, the Cape Cod Chronicle, for example. So I understood that the town had appropriated like $50K to conduct that study probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, so that study, like I said, it was just put on the back burner for right now because we wanted to get the treatment back up and running. So we are going to be jumping back on board with a consultant to finish up his study. They kind of started it and we kind of just waited a little bit because we wanted to get everything else done.
And I understand the town's spending like $1 million on that facility. Does that sound about right?
$1 million? Try like 16 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 16 million for that new iron and manganese PFAS removal plant. Yeah, so.
Wait, 60 or 16?
16.
16.
Yeah, 16 million, almost, yeah.
So that, you know, there's quite a bit of controversy in Chatham about the airport.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I guess a cynic might say that detecting that all that PFAS and the 16 million bucks came from the airport, I'm not confident that that story will be widely disseminated.
We've got to prove it first.
Yeah, no comment. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is probably the first speaker could comment on it, but the rule of thumb is the groundwater moves a foot a day. Is that consistent with all the different, from P-Town down to the Cape Cod, the canal? Is that the same?
Same logic. Yeah, for the most part, I would say, Tom. I mean, it's pretty status.
That's a general rule of thumb. General rule of thumb, but in some cases it could be, you know, up to 4 feet per day.
Oh,
5
okay.
feet, you know, when you get near a well that's pumping and it's drawing down.
Right.
So it varies, but you know, in a general group, let's say it's moves a foot per day, which is pretty fast.
Right.
Yeah.
One comment that Tom made was about when you shut down a well, the plume keeps going. Have you seen any signs of that in Chatham?
As far as wells 5 and 8, not really right now, you know, because it's only been a few years, but we've had other wells that were contaminated with different stuff, and those plumes have shifted. We were able to activate a well that had a contamination a couple of years back, like in the early 90s. That plume had kind of moved enough. We did a prolonged pump test, and so we were able to reactivate that well at one point to kind of take a little bit of pressure off of these 2 wells being gone. All good?
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Other than Chatham and Hyannis, are you aware of other towns on the Cape that have, I mean, you mentioned Marston
Yeah,
Mills,
so a few areas in that Barnstable area, like the smaller little districts, have had some issues. A couple of towns have had small detects, but below the 20 parts per trillion. So the treatment for that is just, they can keep using those wells, they can shut them off if they want, they just, yeah.
But where's that coming from? Because Marston Mills isn't close to the airport.
Yeah, there's a lot of places, yep.
It turns out those wells were in the Craigville area.
Craigville,
And that Craigville area is still down gradient of that INS service area that got some high concentrations going through as secondary impacts.
So, yeah, I mean, it's the stuff, finding where it's coming from is the hardest part right now, everybody's trying to pull studies on that, so hopefully we'll get some ideas soon, but right now it's tough. Yes, sir.
With their permission.
Do PFAS adhere to the soil at all?
Sure, yeah.
And is that kind of, they hang on temporary and then they'll let go, or is it more like the activated carbon that once it's adhered, it's stuck? Or?
I would say it's kind of stuck, right? I mean, it's not really gonna move anywhere, it's pretty solid. Forever chemical. Okay, all set?
All right.
All right, thank you.